Hey guys, it's Danny Elliott. Welcome back to the show. Thank you for joining me today. So, I want to talk to you today. I saw another article about why are housing prices so unaffordable in the United States. There's one of these economists. They blamed the high housing prices, the unaffordability of housing. They blamed it on a housing shortage and speculation. Now, what is speculation? Let's talk about that for a second. I mean, is speculation like when the U.S. Congress decides they're going to buy a bunch of stock and then they're going to pass legislation to benefit an entire industry, and then they send a bunch of our tax money to that specific industry, and then their stock goes soaring through the roof? Is that speculation? No, that's freedom. That's just the government. That's our benevolent government trying to help us. The real reason the housing is unaffordable, it's all because of zero interest rate policies. People speculating in housing, they could buy cheap stuff, take out a bridge loan, a lipstick on a pig, quick fix. They list that house, housing prices increased like 15-20%. It didn't take much to speculate during the lockdowns. Businesses were forced to close, but real estate was a casino. Everybody wanted to get into real estate. Everybody wanted to buy a house because we were seeing appreciation like we had never seen before in our entire lives. So everybody wanted to become a real estate investor. In 2020, 2021, 2022. Everybody wanted to rush in. Everybody wanted to become a hotelier. Kids were buying Airbnbs at or above list price. Now Airbnbs are crashing. So let's talk about the housing shortage, shall we? Because I hear about this all the time. Some guy went after me in the comments section. There is no housing shortage in the United States. We have 16 million vacant houses in the United States. This guy who was fighting with me said, that's not true. Those houses aren't vacant. Those are Airbnbs that are empty. And those are rental houses that are empty. So those houses aren't vacant. That's really what he said. If you got an empty Airbnb, if you got an Airbnb that's like 25% occupancy, and it used to be 70% occupancy, but now it's 25%. You got a vacant house, bro. If you got a rental property, you got a long-term rental, a medium-term rental, it's been empty for 5, 6, 7 months, that's a vacant house. Okay? That's a vacant house. I don't care what this guy says. These houses should be back in play. But the problem is, and this is what's going on, all these boomers that are trying to take somebody's head off, all their list prices are based on 2022 asset values, based on 3% interest rates. They're all delisting their houses now because they know they can't get it. And they don't want to go take out a 7.1% interest rate. They don't want to go get a new mortgage at 7% because they already got a house. So if they can't take somebody's head off at $500,000, they're just going to delist the house, and that's what's going on. So are they speculators too? I'm just asking the question. Because if we're going to blame speculators, then the boomers are speculators right now. The millennials are the ones that are the smart buyers, because we're not buying at these prices. We're going to sit it out and wait until these delusional sellers come down off their drugs and realize that there's a market out here if they would just put a real fair market price on their listing, and they won't. But we have 16 million vacant houses in the United States, and people are just sitting on them because they don't want to sell them. They just think that the market's going to keep going up, but we just got this little bump in the road because the interest rates are too high. Like if we could just drop the interest rates back to 5, everybody's going to rush in. But that's not true either, because the property taxes are up, the insurance is up, The HOA fees are up. The cost to renovate a house is up. The cost to build an average house, you know, the houses the boomers bought for $50,000 back in 1985, that house costs like $225,000 to construct today. A large minority share of that cost is the cost of the government, the cost of the permits to build that house, to even put that house on a vacant lot. So, it ain't a housing shortage, bro. It ain't speculation. It's just that we got a locked up market. We got delusional sellers out here that don't want to transact. They don't want to come to the bargaining table and cut a deal. And we got all these empty houses, and you know, these people hold these empty houses like they're stocks or something. You know, like they're just going to wait for the thing to go up. But a house is a rapidly deteriorating building. That's all it is. And, you know, a house should be cash flowing. A house shouldn't just be sitting there like a speculative asset, like it's a piece of paper, like it's a stock, it's going to go up. A house is meant as a place for somebody to live. And that's not what we're using them for right now. We're using them as stocks, essentially. And that's what's wrong in the United States right now. You know, we got all these foreign investors in here. We got boomers who got, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 houses. And half of them are empty. And they're just hanging on and they're saying, that's all right, I can leave it vacant right now. I don't need to try to rent it. Or they bought an Airbnb and now they got no guests. So they're just saying, oh, that's all right. I'm going to offer it fully furnished. And by the way, since I got all this furniture in here, you know, they got to pay me for the furniture too. And, you know, I spent all this money on furniture, so I want to get that money back. They look at every piece of furniture, every fixture, all the equipment in the house. They look at it like it's this asset. It isn't. But you can't tell them anything. They're just nuts. So that's why we have a locked up housing market, guys. That's why we have unaffordable housing in the USA. And it's not a housing shortage. It's just we had too much stimulus and we had zero interest rate policy for too long, and it incited all of this strange behavior in the market. And now everybody's just confused as to what's really happening out here. But I don't want you guys to be confused. That's why I started this channel. That's why we come on here and talk about real assets. We talk about how you can buy and sell houses the right way and stay away from these shady real estate agents. But I appreciate you watching me today. Thank you for being with me. Give me a like and a subscribe. Hit the bell. Leave me a comment below. And I'll see you in the next one. I'm Danny Elliott.